This video is going to teach you how to set up your Schoology course so you can use it for the school year. First thing you need to do is you have to go to sdastoria.schoology.com and log in using the username provided by your school. Generally, it's going to be your last name at sdprep.org, and the default password is Demetrius123, but you can change it if you want to. So we're going to click on here to log in. So when you get on here, you're going to see your courses. When you click on this, the courses that you see here should match the same courses that you have in PowerSchool. If you do not have the same courses listed, then you need to contact your system administrator so they can make sure that everything is connected properly. I'm going to click over here in my first course, Elementary Media Center. And you're going to be presented with your material screen here. This is like the home page for your students. We need to do some setup before we start learning how to actually use the program though. So first thing you need to do is you go to your course options. This is very important. You have to change the privacy settings for your course. You go to click course options, edit privacy. When you go to your course options, you're going to see that right now this organization line is all checked off. You do not want this. You want it to be course. So I'm going to click over here in the first one, and it's going to change everything to course. The reason for this is because if you leave it as organization, then anybody can search your name, see what courses you teach, and click on it if they are part of the sdprep.org community. We don't want that. We only want people who are associated with your course to be able to get into your course. So we click on course. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and we save this. So now this is set for your course options. So that was one of the first things you needed to do. I'm going to go back up here. This is called the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to go back to the breadcrumbs so I can go to the main page. The next thing we need to set up here is your categories. So for that, you have to go to your grade setup. You're going to see here I already have categories that I've set up in my course. I'm going to show you how to make one though. You're going to click the plus sign over here where it's add. You give it a category. And then you just create it. And there's your category. Okay? These categories that I have listed here and that you will be listing should match the ones that you have in PowerSchool. So if you don't remember what categories you have in PowerSchool, you need to log into sdastoria.powerschool.com/teachers, and then you're going to go to your A+ and choose categories so that you can see which categories you are going to be using. So make sure that these categories match those categories. I'm going to get rid of this one. I don't need it, so I'm going to X that out. So once you're done here, you're going to see that you have the ability to weight your categories to put percentages, like classwork is 10%, exams are 20%. You can do that if you want. Just keep in mind, they really don't matter here, okay? Because in Schoology, whatever average comes out doesn't really matter. It's only what comes out in PowerSchool. That's the actual grade that matters. However, since your parents do see Schoology and they might be logging in, and your students log in, if you want to put percentages to match the same percentages you have in PowerSchool, you can very well do that. If you just put a check here, you can put the percentages that you want. Okay? I don't need them, so I don't want them. That's only so that the grade book reflects a similar grade to what you're going to see in PowerSchool. Down at the bottom here, there's a button that says hide overall grade in student report and hide grading period grades in student grade report. I recommend that you put the check marks in these two boxes. The reason for that is because you don't want them to see what their final average is in Schoology. You only want them to see their final average in PowerSchool. There may be times where you have students hand assignments in and you don't enter them into Schoology, but you enter them into PowerSchool. If all your information is not here in Schoology, again, this is another time where your average here might not be the same as your average in PowerSchool. So it is important to hide that overall grade. You don't want somebody saying, hey, they have a 90 in Schoology, but they have an 85 in PowerSchool. You don't want that discrepancy. So just hide them and you're good to go. Once you're done, you hit Save Changes. If you've got more than one course to set up at this point, you also have this little spiral notebook and this copy settings option. The copy settings option is really great because you can set one up with all your categories, press copy settings, and then it will actually let you choose which classes you want to apply it to. The only thing that does not apply on its own is the check marks at the bottom. So you can click copy settings, copy all of your categories to your other course, and then you use the little spiral notebook to switch between your classes, and then you can put those check marks at the bottom. Okay? The same also applies here in the course options we did before when we did the edit privacy. The spiral notebook is up here too, so you can switch easily between your courses here. So we looked at your course options. We looked at setting up your categories. Now we need to look at setting up your grade sync. So I'm going to go all the way down here. On the left, you're going to see a button that says PowerSchool. If you click on this and you get a screen that says access denied, that means your course is not coming from PowerSchool. It might have been one that you maybe manually created on your own. So it is very important that this is the screen that you see. That's how you know this is connected to the actual system. So when you get to this screen here, you'll have an area that says sync grades and you have an area that says configuration. I'm going to go to the configuration tab. On the configuration tab, you're going to see a box automatically shorten assignment titles. Please make sure you always put a check in that box. And then down below, this is where you're going to connect your categories together. You may have a lot more categories than I do if you did not go to PowerSchool first and make the ones that you don't use inactive. I closed a whole bunch of them. I don't need them because I only needed these 4. So in PowerSchool, I only have 4 categories. So I only have 4 categories here that I need to connect. When you do that, you just click on it, pick the ones that match, and you're good to go. So you go all through. This matches this, this matches this, this matches this, that matches that. If you changed the names of your categories, maybe you called it, instead of classwork participation, you called it apples in Schoology, you would put apples is the same as classwork participation. Bananas is the same as exams and tests. So you just pick the ones that you want to correspond to PowerSchool so that when it moves over, it knows what percentage to give it. Once you're done selecting all of these, you click Save Changes, and you are good to go. So let that sync itself up. Okay, now see, you've been saved, so you're good to go. Now what is the reason for this? The reason for this is because as you start doing work in your grade book in Schoology and you start putting assignments and you start putting grades in, you have to be able to get the grades from here to PowerSchool for your report cards. This does not happen automatically. You must click the sync button. It is extremely important you remember this because otherwise your grades aren't going anywhere. They're just going to stay in here forever and ever. After you put grades in here, you click on this little twirling arrows. This is to sync your changes to PowerSchool. Click on that. And then you go to the clipboard. The clipboard is extremely important. This tells you what is happening and if it is working or if it is not working. So when you go to the clipboard, you see these are working. This one, Students Book, page 54, it says View Error. There's a problem. You click on it. It'll tell you what the problem is. In this instance, this assignment does not have a category. So I have to go back into the assignment and put a category so that it will sync over properly. Those things will be covered later. So once this is all done, this is going to go through, and if it's good, it'll say successful. I'm going to hit done here. So that is extremely important. So you have to click on that after you enter grades so that it goes over to PowerSchool. Click on this here so that you can make sure that it did sync properly. Another place you can go to sync your grades is back where we were before with the configuration, where you go down to PowerSchool here, and you'll see it. Gotta wait for it to load. You'll see it right here. This is the sync grades. So this is the same as going to the twirling arrows, and you would just sync your changes over here. Okay, you see this is still syncing from before. So that is generally the way you set up your course. You have to do this for every single course that you are a part of in Schoology. You need to go again to your course options, edit your privacy. You need to go to your grade setup, create your categories, and make sure you put the check marks in the bottom. And you need to go to PowerSchool and make sure that you set up your configuration to match the categories that are in PowerSchool. So all of those things are required to be done before these programs will actually connect to each other.